Michael here. Welcome to our 14th and final episode of Quarantine Cuisine. We have had a lot of fun over the last 14 days making these fun little cooking videos. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a great distraction as well. Today's an important milestone day for us. We are now officially finished our self-isolation, which means we are not contagious and we have shown no symptoms of having the virus as well. And now it's all about keeping ourselves and our families safe from the virus. And there's really not a lot of options for moving around anyways, because the authorities have a lot of really well-warranted restrictions in place to try to stem the spread of this terrible virus. So we chose a meal tonight that we thought would be very fitting. It actually was a request of a friend, Linda. We saw some earlier episodes, but we thought this would be a great dish as a finale. It's a dish that really brings a lot of friends together to our table, and we enjoy making this, enjoy sharing this beautiful dish. And it's a Spanish paella is the dish. And I learned how to make this dish from a very good friend, Mattalo. He and his wife, we met in Aruba. We live near to each other actually there. And we have a number of friends from near and far that we prepared this dish for a number of times. So this is for our friends. We know the distance is difficult to begin with, but we know these times are very trying. So to our friends, and you know who you are, we just want to say abrazos a nuestros buenos amigos. So hugs to all our good friends. We will get through this all together. We will once again be together and enjoy our company once again. So why don't we start cooking? Okay, the first step in making our paella is our vegetable preparation. So what we ended up doing tonight, just considering the number of ingredients and the quantity, is actually get our prep done in advance. So what I'd like to do is just walk you through the ingredients we're going to use tonight. So first up is we have these medium onions. So we have medium yellow onions that I've diced up. Not too fine, not too rustic, just a nice size so they hold their texture. Same thing with all the ingredients I'm going to walk you through tonight. So there's the onions. 3 of those, medium. Then I have 3 very large kind of vine ripened tomatoes. It's always good to find the ripest tomato that you can find. If you want to use field tomatoes, you can probably get by with 3, possibly 3.5. You're going to use plum or Roma tomatoes, then I would just maybe provide about 4 tomatoes to be able to cut up or to chop up as well. Then we have some garlic. So 6 cloves of garlic that I've diced up here and minced it fairly good. Then next we have some green beans. These are uncooked green beans. Actually, these ones are blanched and cooked. So there's going to be a difference in terms of when we add them because they have been blanched. But generally we would use uncooked, just your regular string green beans. So we've got that's about a cup of green beans, by the way. And then next we have these red bell peppers. There's 1.5 red bell pepper that I've been able to put a good chop on this as well. Then our final ingredient, which really didn't require any preparation, we have some sweet peas here. You can use canned peas if you like, 2 small canned peas, or actually 1 small canned pea for this quantity of paella. But we just use our frozen green peas that we just thawed. So there's the ingredients, you have it for tonight. Now we're going to walk you through the meat preparation. There's really 2 things we're going to prepare for in terms of meat protein. The first is chicken. So I have 3 chicken thighs here that I've already skinned and deboned. And what I want to do is we're just going to chop those up into I'm going to call them some bite-sized chunks, but I'm going to slice these up nice. Get each of the thighs sliced up. And what we're looking for is maybe just like 1-inch cubes or whatever. They don't need to be overly chopped up because, again, you want some texture in the paella at the end of the day as well. You just don't want everything to be all kind of mushy. So getting this is really good. So cut these into some nice pieces, slice them nice. Okay, I've got a little bit of excess there. And I trimmed these off as well. So trimmed a lot of the fat around here. Just want to have a nice lean and tender bit of chicken. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this. Okay, so our chicken is cut up into nice 1-inch cubes here. Okay, perfect. The next thing we're going to slice up is I have 2 of these beautiful Spanish chorizo sausages. So all I want to do is just cut these into, again, small little pieces, maybe about 1/2 inch wide. Get these all diced up as well. Slice up the sausage nice. So we have 2 of these. Okay, there's our chorizo sausage all done. Throw those on the plate. And while we don't have any prep to look after for this, I just want to introduce the rest of the ingredients that are going to go in the paella from a seafood standpoint, because this is a traditional Catalan style. So we do have some chicken and some chorizo, but we're also going to introduce some seafood. And paella is one of those dishes. It becomes very regionalized and very personalized as well by family, by area of Spain. You can have just seafood if you like, you can have just protein if you like, you can have just vegetarian if you like. So again, there's no hard and fast rule. I'm just showing you the recipe that my good friend Mattalo was able to graciously share. So in terms of seafood, we have some medium shrimp here that I was able to devein and deshell. So these are uncooked shrimp. So we've got a number of these that are going to go in the paella. Probably about 15 or 18 shrimp here, good medium to large size shrimp. Now we have some calamari rings as well. So these are just, again, uncooked calamari rings. So I've got probably, I don't know, probably about 15, 20 pieces of calamari rings here as well. Then I've got some scallops. So I'm gonna dice these into just a little bit of a smaller form. We just don't want 5 or 6 big scallops. I'm probably gonna cut these in half before we go to the paella pan. And the last thing we're going to put in from a seafood standpoint is mussels. Now I prefer the New Zealand greenbacks. They're much larger and meatier, but these ones are pre-cooked PEI organic mussels, which is great. We're in Canada, we also use our own seafood. So these have been pre-cooked, and we took off half the shell as well. So there you have all the ingredients that are going to go in from a protein, both meat and seafood standpoint, into our paella. Now it's time to cook our paella. Okay, so we have all our ingredients lined up here for the paella. We're trying to prepare everything because it becomes a bit of a production. There's a lot of ingredients to put into this dish. And now what we're able to do is we're able to get our paella pan warmed up here. Given the size of the pan, as you can see, I actually have it over 2 different burners, and this way I'll just rotate it around a little bit. So I don't have this on too high a heat, just want to keep it warmed up. We don't want to be kind of getting everything too burned at the beginning. So I just want to make sure I got quite a bit of olive oil on the bottom here, maybe about 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons of olive oil on the bottom. And the first thing I'm going to add is going to add in our onion. So onion goes into the pan. Spread it around with the olive oil. Perfect. Well done. Turn the heat up just a little bit here. Just want to get the onion nice and translucent. Okay, so the onion's in. Now I'm going to add our garlic in here as well. And I like to just make sure that the vegetables kind of get spread around as I do this. And again, I don't want to keep this on too high a heat. Kind of a medium, low to medium heat really works. I try to turn the pan to make sure that the 2 burners that are on are equally heating the pan. I'll do this as the paella gets prepared. Okay, that's perfect. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to push everything out to the edge of the pan. And you'll see I'm going to do this as we continue our preparation. Just kind of get everything that we want to have cooked at the center. And then move everything else to the edge of the pan. Turn up the heat just a little bit. Now I'm going to add in our chicken. So the chicken thighs that we skinned and deboned. I'm going to get these in the paella pan now as well. Get these moving around. Spread them out. Want to get them nice and cooked on all sides. And I just kind of move the onions and garlic mixture around the outer edge here, just so nothing really gets stuck in one spot. I tend to turn my pan a little bit as well, make sure we're getting everything heated equally on all sides. Okay, our chicken's coming along very nicely, so I'm going to go ahead and just incorporate that with the onions around the pan here. And turn the heat off just a little bit, get the fire down just a little bit lower. But see, as we cook everything, I'm just going to move everything off and mix it in with the other ingredients that are already in the pan. Get our chicken moved off to the side here. Oops. A little on the floor. Okay, now I'm going to add our chorizo sausage. So we have our 2 chorizos that we sliced up here nice as well into some bite-sized morsels. Chorizo adds a nice kind of smokiness to the paella dish. Okay, our chorizo is cooking out very nicely as well, so I'm going to go ahead and mix that in as well with the rest of the ingredients around the pan. I'm going to actually bring everything to the center, get it all mixed up nice. Turn down the flame just a little bit for the moment. This gives me an opportunity to kind of get all the current ingredients all mixed up nice. Okay, and I'm going to move everything off to the side again. Get ready for our next ingredients. It's really important just to get a nice sear on the meats that we put in. The seafood is pretty much the last ingredients we put in. They don't need a lot of time to cook. Okay, so we have our chorizo and our chicken all done, our onion, our garlic is all done. Okay, now we're going to add is the red bell pepper. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 1.5 red bell pepper that we chopped up in here as well. Try to cook this, so get the flame up a little bit here. And I mentioned earlier that we're using blanched green beans, so they're already somewhat cooked. So we would normally add in the green beans right about now as well with the pimiento rojo, or the red bell pepper. But we're not going to go do that because I just think the beans would just turn to mush. So we're going to go ahead and change this up in the order of the ingredients we're adding to our paella. Oh, it's coming along very nicely. Looking really good. Give this about maybe another 15 seconds or so. Looks like it's cooking up nicely. The pan's kind of getting some good distributed heat as well, which is great. We'll start incorporating the pepper in with the other ingredients. So you notice the pattern here is everything gets cooked in the center, then you bring all the ingredients together on the side. Make sure everything gets kind of mixed very nicely together. Good distribution of all the ingredients throughout the paella. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to just move everything to the side here, separate everything. Parting of the waters here, so to speak. Okay, next ingredient I'm going to add our tomatoes. So this is the 3 very large vine-ripened tomatoes that I coarsely diced up as well. Or again, you can use a smaller tomato. Use 4 plum tomatoes or field tomatoes would be good as well. We're going to get these kind of cooking up very nicely as well. Okay, we don't want the tomatoes to get too mushy. We just want to get them to be softened a fair bit. So I think we can go ahead and kind of mix this up with the rest of the ingredients as well. Bring in the sausage, bring in the red bell pepper, the pimiento rojo, as well as the garlic and the onion, the chorizo sausage, the chicken thighs. Get everything all melded up here very nicely. Mixed. Coming together really nice here. Now the next ingredient I'm going to add is, I'm just going to wait for a little opening here, just dry this off on the bottom a bit. I'm going to add some saffron. Saffron is an amazing spice, probably the most expensive spice by weight in the world. So I'm just going to look for a dry spot in the pan here. Oh, put maybe, I don't know, kind of like saffron in our paella, so I'm going to add maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon. I think that's probably about right, into the bottom of the pan. I just want to put it right on the pan, kind of get the flavors released. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I like putting dry spices right on the bottom of my pan just to open up the flavors a bit. So as you can see, that's coming out very nicely. So I'm going to move the saffron out. Has a beautiful golden color as well. And it's going to mix everything in here to make sure that the saffron, the flavor of the saffron finds its way through the entire pan of paella. And as you can see, I'm not sure if the camera detail will allow you to see this, but the colors kind of change from just a red to kind of a golden red here as well. So, okay, now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste into our paella dish. So I'm going to spread that around as well. Get that all distributed very nicely around the pan. Make sure this all gets mixed in as well. So again, as a reminder, if you want to do a skillet size, about 12-inch skillet, that's about 2 inches deep, just half the ingredients, and I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. So, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up. Mix in the tomato paste in with the rest of the ingredients. As you can see, they continue to cook, but they're still holding up some texture in here. That's the key. Don't want to overcook things, it just turns to mush. Okay, now I'm going to add the blanched green beans. I would ordinarily add this when the pimento rojo was added. This is about a cup or so of green beans. I'm just going to add these in. Looks like we're adding all of our greens at once here. Then I'm going to go ahead and add in our green peas as well. So let me mix this up just a little more here, just to make sure the beans get distributed nicely. Okay, our green peas that have been thawed, I'm just going to distribute those around the paella as well, the paella pan here. Make sure we get the green peas in as well. Perfect, okay, good, awesome. Looking good. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape here. I think everything's kind of cooked to the point that I want it to. So what I want to do is just make sure everything's distributed nicely. I just want to flatten it out. Okay, the next ingredient we're going to add is our rice. Now, traditional paella would have a rice called bomba, B-O-M-B-A rice, which is more of a short grain rice. You know, it's not really readily available, especially under these circumstances. We don't have that, but what we use is a plain long grain parboiled rice. So we use Uncle Ben's rice, which is just totally fine. It tends to hold up the structure. So I'm going to go ahead and add this, and as my friend Manuel would do, he just does this in a bit of sign of the cross. I don't know why, if there's a religious connotation to it. Certainly what we're going through in the world these days, that certainly will take everything that we can get in terms of help. So anyways, our rice is added. Just make sure it's distributed all the way around the pan. I'm going to go ahead and mix the rice in. Again, I want to be careful at this point because things like the beans and the peas are pretty well cooked. We don't want to mush everything up, so I'm just going to be a little bit careful how I introduce the rice into the mixture here and mix everything up. So I do want to make sure that there's a good mix going on here. It's looking amazing. I turn this a little bit just to make sure the pan gets heated in an even way. We only have the 2 burners on the pan, so there's a burner here and there's a burner down here. Oh, this is looking absolutely magnificent. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now that I've got the rice pretty much mixed in, we prepared in advance about 1 1/4 liter is what the recipe calls for. So we prepared in advance about 1 1/2 liters of fish stock. So I'm going to go ahead and actually ladle the fish stock into the paella pan. Actually, I just want to make sure I got everything smoothed out here because this is the point of no return. just to make sure that everything is the way it needs to be in the pan, because beyond here there'll be very little kind of movement, so the rice can get all kind of cooked up nice. So go ahead and ladle our broth in. It's our fish stock all the way around the pan here nice. Ah, beautiful. Actually, when we first started making this, we would actually go to one of the fishmongers in Aruba, and we'd buy the fish heads or whatever, and we'd make our own fish stock, but we found it stunk up the house so bad, we just said forget that, so we just tend to buy our own fish broth now, which is works out very, very well. So it might seem like it's a lot of liquid, but keep in mind the rice is going to absorb the liquid, so we need about twice as much liquid to the amount of rice that we have in here. But I'm just going to let this sit here for a minute. I want to get the fire up nice and high at this point. We're going to bring this to a beautiful boil. Just mix this around a little bit just to make sure that everything's kind of distributed. We don't have any dry spots. We don't have any kind of clumps anywhere. Make sure that the broth made it everywhere and there's an even distribution of the rice and the ingredients here. So that's why I'm kind of doing this a little bit very carefully. Okay, so I'm just gonna hang out here and do this and make sure I can get this brought up to a boil. Okay, so the paella has been on high flame for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to turn the flame down here now. As you can see, the rice is plumping up here very nicely. It's absorbing the liquid. We added more liquid along the way. We probably put about the 1.25 liters in altogether. So the next step now is to add our seafood. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start with the shrimp. So I've got some shrimp. This is uncooked. Just kind of put them in the midst here, in the middle of this a little bit. So I'm going to put them around the outside, making sure that as we spoon this out, everybody gets their fair helping of seafood. So shrimp on the outside here. Squeeze out just a little more there. Okay, good. Perfect. I like doing a bit of a pattern. It's just the artistic part of me coming out, I guess. So do that. Okay, good. Perfect. Nice. More shrimp around here. About 18, fairly large shrimp here, so there's no shortage of seafood or whatever in this paella, so it's all very, very good. Okay, so our shrimp is done. I'm going to add our calamari rings in here, so just find some empty space where we can put some calamari rings in here as well. This is all going in here very, very nicely. Toss these in here. It becomes a bit of a pattern work of art here as we do this. So just layer in the calamari where you can see some empty spaces to fill. Okay, so our flame's on low, as I mentioned. The rice will continue to cook. I think we're running out of a bit of room here, so I think I'm going to call it a day on the calamari. I think that's good. I'm going to add in our scallops. So we have these fairly large scallops, so I just ended up cutting them into smaller little chunks here, but I'm going to go ahead and just add these around as well. Perfect, look at that. Okay, very nice. Okay. Now the last ingredient, actually second last, last for seafood, have these beautiful mussels that have already been pre-cooked. So I just like to kind of put these in on an angle around the paella. So this goes in here nicely. Now the last thing we've done is I roasted off some red bell pepper. For some nice decoration here. So I like to just kind of put this kind of like this, throw our red bell pepper in here. It's very nice. Oop. Toss these along here. Make a bit of a decoration along the side here. Okay, so I think we're just about all set. So now, the paella was on a high flame for 15 minutes. We got it here on a low flame as we get our seafood all settled for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover this up with some aluminum foil. We're going to throw some tea towels on top of it. We're going to shut the flame off and let the rest of it cook. The seafood will cook up very nicely given the heat of the pan, the heat of the paella, and then we're going to be ready to dig in. Okay, so our paella has been resting very nicely for about 10 minutes here with the flame off. It gives a chance for the rice to come into bloom very nicely and to soften up just to the texture that we want to, and get the seafood all finally prepared and cooked as well. So I think this paella is going to be just perfect once we are able to open it up. So let's talk about our wine pairing for tonight. So of course, having a beautiful Spanish dish like paella deserves a Spanish wine. So tonight we're serving a white Rioja. It's from the Hacienda Lopez and Haro. It's a 2012 white Rioja. This particular wine was aged in Bordeaux barrels for 3 years, and then subsequently aged in bottle for 3 years as well. And this wine's very interesting. It's got some great notes. It's got a bit of sweetness, which we think will actually complement the spiciness of the chorizo, as well as got some fruit in it as well, which we think will really offset the saffron that's in this particular dish as well. So this is a great bottle of wine. We're looking forward to enjoying this and pairing it with our paella. Just on a side note, we actually look forward to the time when the coronavirus will pass, and then we can get together with family and friends around a beautiful dish of paella and a nice fine bottle of wine to enjoy our family and friends together again. So that's our wine pairing for tonight. Okay, so it's time to eat. So I'm going to remove everything here from our paella pan. So we have this dish towel resting on top, a couple pieces of foil sitting here, and there you have it. It's our paella. Just an absolutely beautiful dish. We enjoy this. It's a one-plate meal. This could actually probably serve us for a couple of days here. So we're delighted. We're going to, there's no plating involved here at all. We're going to put this in the middle of the table. We're going to put a nice big scoop inside. Everybody's going to grab a helping. Dorothy was kind enough to prepare a nice simple salad with some arugula and some romaine lettuce, simple white vinegar, olive oil, salt and pepper. Very, very simple meal. And now we're all set to enjoy, and this is the one thing that brings family and friends together, and we look forward to those days once again. So this is our final episode. We've enjoyed doing this series. We hope you've enjoyed watching them, and if you have any questions about any of the recipes or want to reach out at all, then feel free to do so. Everybody has my email address, so please feel free to reach out. Anyways, that's it. This is a wrap for Cuisine. 14 episodes, and we're done.